Let's say you're out for your morning run in the 20-degree chill at dawn. Suddenly you come upon a patch of ice and your run turns into an ice skating exhibition instead. It would have been nice if you had had a threat intelligence report that warned you in advance where the dangerous spots would be. That kind of information could save you from going down hard enough to break your shoulder, hypothetically speaking, right? Okay, in my case it's not so hypothetical. But what if there was a cybersecurity threat intelligence report that could give you a heads up on what to expect? Maybe you wouldn't have to break your shoulder, get hacked, because you could avoid the known pitfalls. Well, you're in luck. I've got just such a report. In this video, we're going to take a look at some of the findings in the latest IBM X-Force Threat Intelligence Index and see what lessons we can learn from it. Let's start with some statistics. So first of all, 44%, then 40,000, 56%, 4x, 49%. Okay, any questions? Oh, what do these actually mean? Okay, I thought you might want to know that. So let's start with the first one, the 44%. X-Force found a sharp rise in the number of incidents caused by vulnerability exploitation. The number of new vulnerabilities reported grew to nearly 40,000. That's 13,000 over the previous year, so this trend is not going in the right direction for us. In keeping with this theme, we found that 56% of the vulnerabilities tracked could be exploited without authentication. How's that even possible? Somebody just walks right in. They don't even have to identify themselves. Making matters worse, this is the third year in a row that has remained largely unchanged. That means we don't seem to be learning the lesson here that we need to be learning. Think of this from the attacker's standpoint. Basically, there's no phishing email that they have to craft and send. There's no passwords that they have to steal. There's no multi-factor authentication that has to be bypassed. Just knock on the door and you are in. Oh, and as an added bonus, there's fewer forensic footprints left because the attack wasn't associated with a credential, so it's harder to track down as well. One example involved a popular app server that many of you may use. It allowed unauthenticated users to upload arbitrary files leading to, and this is a bad one, remote code execution. Basically means I can send the code of my choice to your system and you run it without even giving permission. It's basically full system compromise in some of these cases. These are the result of systems which are essentially insecure by design. So there's the madness behind the first three numbers. Clearly we have work to do. But how about this one, the 4x? Well, that corresponds to the nearly quadrupling of supply chain and third-party compromises over the past 5 years. Attackers are targeting where software is developed and deployed through exploitation of SaaS integrations, software as a service, and other examples. Slipping in contaminated flour makes for a bad cake, and messing with the ingredients of a software system creates a house of cards just waiting to fall. Another interesting trend that we saw here, a substantial overlap in these things we call TTPs. These are tactics, techniques, and procedures. Normally we've seen that nation states operate one way, ransomware operators a different way, but now we're starting to see a convergence across these, where nation state actors and ransomware and other financially motivated attackers are using the same types of TTPs. An example of these blurred lines are where we see North Korean nation-state actors using info stealers. That's software that's designed to scarf up your passwords and other secrets that you have on your system. Once these were used predominantly by cyber criminals, now we see them being used across the board. Okay, and finally the last number, the 49%. What's that about? Well, that's the increase in ransomware groups compared to the previous year. 49%, that's a big jump, and it's coming from smaller transient operators driving more low-volume campaigns. With AI and then other ransomware as a service tools, it's never been easier to run a ransomware attack. You can basically set it and forget it. Let your AI go out and figure out what the targets will be, what exploits they're going to be using, and then launch the attack and do the collections. And because the barrier of entry is lower than it's ever been, the attackers are more dispersed and therefore harder to track down. So now we've reviewed the numbers. What should you be doing about all of this? Well, I'm going to recommend that first you read the full report so that you understand what you're up against. I only summarized a few of the highlights from the report. There's a lot more insights that you can pull from this, so take a look. Second, treat identity as critical infrastructure. No more free passes for the attackers. Require multi-factor authentication and pass keys. Leverage a secrets vault to manage API keys, crypto keys, and the like. Third, enforce strong AI governance and security through appropriate policies and tooling, since bad guys are moving to this new attack surface. You need to be there before they get there, not afterwards. And finally, discover and test for vulnerabilities continuously. Do regular code reviews and penetration tests, because if you're satisfied with your security, so are the bad guys.